know, so.
That's questionable.
No, it's not at all. You really, really are. So thank you, Adam. He is one of our life insurance agents of the future.
Yes.
Any other introduction you want to give to the group?
No.
To the viewers?
No, I've been here before. I think you either love me or hate me.
Oh.
Hopefully you love me.
Well, and I would like to add that Adam is a wealth of health and wellness information.
That's right.
So he's always bringing us new tidbits to talk about and research and explore. And that's partly why he's here today. So we can chat about...
Today we are... Oh, well, Hannah, you introduce yourself quick.
Oh, well, I'm Hannah, and many of you have probably seen me. I'm the one who's constantly digging into new tidbits of research and trying to find us new information on the latest and greatest in health and wellness and science.
That is right. And then myself, I am Chelsea. I am the marketing director here at Usurance. So now you have it. Here's the crew. And today we're talking about intermittent fasting. It's something that I've been looking into and I really, really want to try. And so I'm anxious to bounce some ideas off you guys and see, has anyone else done it?
Mm-hmm.
Do we like it?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any research that proves whether it's good or not? But maybe before we start, we should just describe what it is. Hannah, you want to go for it?
I will go for it. So we've been hearing a lot about this thing, intermittent fasting. A lot of people are doing it now. And of course, that doesn't mean that it's the right thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen all sorts of crazy fitness and nutrition trends. And so we really like to do a deep dive before we try anything.
Mm-hmm.
After looking into intermittent fasting, it looks like something that we're interested in. So a few of us here at Usurance are going to be trying it.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a way of eating where you purposefully have periods of fasting intermittently in your day.
Mm-hmm. Every single day.
Every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically get on a schedule where you eat for a certain period of time and then you fast for a certain period of time. And there are different periods that you can use. Some people do longer fast, some people do a shorter one, but it's basically having that rhythm that you do every day, same time every day, and that is supposed to have some great health benefits for you.
Yeah. And the reason I'm excited about it, I shared this with Hannah, is actually I have noticed when I eat late at night, I don't sleep as good, and then I kind of wake up in the morning and I don't really feel that great. So I was doing some research about like, well, why is this happening? I used to be really disciplined about only working out in the morning, and now because of my schedule, I've had to change. So sometimes I was working out at night, and then I was trying to eat afterwards. And I was just noticing I wasn't getting good sleep. So I started doing some research. We also had a guest on the podcast who kind of told us that she fasts every day. And so now I'm kind of excited to try it. I think that Hannah just said this, we're not anyone to tell you what to do, but everyone should find something that works best for them. And so I'm doing some research. I'm trying to figure out, okay, because I feel this about my body and I've seen through my epigenetics that I have kind of gluten. I have to be very careful about when I eat gluten and how much I eat. So now I'm just trying to learn that maybe I need to skip or eat my dinner as early as possible. So like right after I get done with work, eat then, and then I will fast until the next breakfast. I wish I could skip breakfast. So have you tried it, Adam?
Yeah.
When did you do it? What hours did you skip?
Always. I still do it. I've found everybody's different, when it comes to grains and gluten and all that stuff. But I found when it comes to intermittent fasting, I go from about noon to about 8 p.m.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've heard, people go from, usually it's a 6 to 8 hour window.
Mm-hmm. That you do actually eat.
Mm-hmm. And I found for me it works best when I follow more of a vegetable-based meat and healthier fats,
Yeah.
not your processed, canola oils,
Yes.
but more like, fresh pressed olive oil and
Yes.
coconut oil and things like that, nuts, and actually less meat, believe it or not, too. That's when it works best for me. But I've even gone off the deep end and done, I think I've talked to you guys about this before, I've done a 5-day fast.
Yeah.
So fasting is where intermittent fasting kind of stems off of. And there are benefits to both, but you can get good benefits within a 24-hour period by doing intermittent fasting from all the research I've done.
Yeah, I have a good friend that has lost 28 pounds right now from just limiting the window, not eating past 8. She's doing the almost exact same thing you just said. 11:30 to 7:30 is what she found is what works for her. And 28 pounds down. I'm like,
Wow.
dang, yeah. So it's super working for her. Reconfiguring your metabolism, making it work when you're sleeping, which is awesome. For me, it's just so hard, to get the energy. I'm so hungry in the morning. I can't skip breakfast. So I know that about me.
Yeah. So what got me into it, and again, this is something that some people might say is a fad or what have you, but so there's a guy that has this popular. I'm not even going to use his lingo,
'Kay.
but basically it's coffee that uses coconut oil or sometimes butter or combination of the two. So when you're fasting in general, the idea is you don't want carbs or protein that are going to spike your insulin. But fat helps satiate the body. And so what I've done is I do coffee in the morning with no sugar and no cream if possible, or half and half, or whatever you want to put in there. But I do coconut oil, specifically MCT oil, which is processed coconut oil to take out, or it processes it to keep the chain. The MCT is medium chain triglycerides. It's the fats that your brain can function off of. So in essence, your brain can function off of the caffeine and the triglycerides while you don't have the carbs to feed it or the sugar to feed it. And it gets you through until, for me, it's usually anywhere from noon to 2. So that's what's actually helped me, is I use food as a tool to get me to the food as a fuel, so to speak.
I like that.
Love it.
But yeah, I've been doing it for a while, off and on, and varying results. But I've always noticed the best results I get is when I do the intermittent fasting, and then I do change to a more dense vegetable base for nutrients, more nuts, less meat, and the fat content is about the same. Avocados, or extra virgin olive oil, that
Healthy
type of
fats.
stuff. Yeah, just in context to what you're eating. So,
Nice.
but that's about it.
I'm like Chelsea, where I haven't actually tried intermittent fasting. I'm very interested in trying it. I tend to be hungriest for breakfast and lunch, and then not too hungry for dinner. And I have noticed if I eat 2 to 3 hours before bed, I might wake up with a food hangover, especially if I eat something bad. So I'm a little more inclined to maybe try where I'm eating from 6 to, 4 or 6 to 5 or something, and then fasting through the night.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to try too. Well, let's try it, and then we can report back how
We'll
it goes.
try it and let you know.
I was just doing a quick search really quick because we've been talking about a couple different kinds of fasting. And so let me just go over. This is how to begin intermittent fasting. And they give 4 different types of fasting. So eat, stop, eat is one of the things that they call it, which is every week you pick 24 hours to go, you fast 24 hours straight. So you do that, and then it resets your metabolism, and then you're good to go for the week. For me, whenever I try to do those like long periods of time, maybe 24 hours would be good, but I've tried similarly like 3, 4, even 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
I start like hallucinating seeing things. First of all, it's a really great religious awakening, man. Whew, you see a different side of yourself. 2, it's kind of bad for my digestive system. I feel like then once I start eating again, I'm like redoing everything. So I kind of like this idea of fasting where you're doing it for a disciplined short amount of time. Even the 24 hours, it's like then you're going to eat and get back into normal, and then you're doing this. So I don't know. We'll see what the science proves out, but I can see how we're taking the same principles and disciplines of these longer time fasting and trying to train our bodies to do it kind of intermittently. Okay, so the first one was Eat, Stop, Eat. The second one is called the Warrior Diet.
Ooh.
The Warrior Diet.
I like that.
I know. Which entails eating very little for 20 hours each day. So just tiny little snacks you can do. And then you get to have one meal with your whole day's worth of fat, carbs, and protein. I don't know about that one.
I don't know. That kind of sounds like one I might enjoy because I tend to like to eat one big meal and then nothing else for the rest of the day.
Oh.
So I think that one might be something for me to try.
I always knew you were the warrior.
I've heard of these two so far. Yep.
The Warrior Diet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the third one is the one we've been describing, which is called Lean Gains. And so that is when you pick 16 hours a day that you don't eat, and then the 8 hours a day that you can. I think that my math is right. 8, 16, 24. Yep. Okay. It does say that for females that you may need to extend your periods of time that you're eating and only do 14 hours a day. Our metabolisms work just a little bit differently. So something to consider. When I say it like that, it's like I'm pretty sure we're close to fasting.
Right.
Right? Because I go to bed really early. I don't like to admit that, but I do.
As do I.
I know. Hannah and I both sleep a lot.
I get up very early. Mm-hmm. And whereas I used to eat breakfast, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. at the latest. Lately, I've been waiting to eat breakfast until I get to work. So I probably am fasting that long because I'm really not eating breakfast till 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
What's the last one?
Okay. The last one is called alternate day fasting, 5-2 method. So every other day, you are going to eat 500 calories. And then the other day, you're going to eat your full calorie intake, whatever your macros account for. But then every other day, you are kind of fasting yourself.
Interesting.
That one sounds terrible.
Yeah. There's a book out there that I've read that talks about fasting. It's called, and I'm not promoting it, but it has a lot of good info, and it destroys a lot of myths that I used to have about not eating. It's called the Obesity Code. And the cool thing about the author of that book is he's a doctor, and he said the only things he's going to talk about in that book are only actual human results. So he's not talking about tests on mice or anything like that. And the information he gives actually coincides with a few other people I've listened to on other podcasts that talk about fasting as a tool to reset everything, reset your mitochondria. So the big thing they talk about is, if you do go through even a multi-day fast, when you start to eat again, you can't eat junk food. You got to eat, you got to refeed yourself properly with proper nutrients and things like that. But I've heard like a 36-hour fast. Yeah. So you go 36 hours and then you eat.
And then you eat.
And then you do 36 hours and eat. There was a guy, he does, so it's, I remember him actually, Dr. Dominic D'Agostino.
Whoa.
He's a professor of research down at Florida State University, and he does studies on fasting, intermittent fasting, and also ketogenic diets. And his research was initiated because the Navy SEALs needed to find ways to enhance their physical ability and oxygen intake or oxygen retention when they're holding their breath. So they found that doing a ketogenic diet coupled with fasting or intermittent fasting actually can even have other benefits, like allowing your body to retain oxygen for a longer period of time.
Nice.
So there is a lot of science out there, but I don't know how much of the science is
I know.
widespread yet. But
That's right.
there's definitely benefits.
Yeah, we were hesitant to share that yet because, as Hannah said, we like things to be proven, or at least we take the time to get our personal experience, and then we share that. But since this is such a trendy topic, we thought, why not talk about it?
Absolutely.
Sure, the science isn't proven yet, but let's get some comments from our followers and see if anyone has tried it, what their experience has been, and we can start to collect some data. How about that?
Exactly.
Well, and you'd be surprised. There's actually a lot more science out there and a lot more facts and figures out there
Yeah.
than people think.
Yeah.
And then once you dig into it, I have a friend who's very skeptical, and he always refers to all these things as fad diets
yeah.
or voodoo diets, and it's like, okay, I get the skepticism, but when the information has actually been out there for over 30, 40 years,
Yeah.
then there comes a time when 40 years is no longer a fad,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But now
No, I totally
there's
agree.
more and more science in the last 5 to 10 years than
Yeah.
there was from 40 years ago. So it's good, right?
Totally.
And yeah, there's definitely more science out there that can be studied, that people can find and research,
Yeah.
that actually have real scientific results that you can base it off of. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I like what both of you said, is that we each have to do our own research. We have to make
Exactly.
decisions that we're comfortable with, because nothing's ever going to happen unless you want it to happen, right?
Well, and everyone's different, right? So
Exactly.
it's like all this research. It's why there's so many diets and everything seems to be similar but conflicting, and everyone has a little bit different opinion because we're all researchers in a way. It's the food we're putting in our body and how we feel.
Yep.
And that's what's cool, is use the information that you can. Like at Usurance, we give you a report that tells you the lay of the land. Love that. Start there. And then from there, let's practice.
And
figure
like
out
you
what
said,
we
your
do.
epigenetics are different. So
Right.
I have a friend of mine who is epigenetically disposed to have an allergy versus anything in the nightshade family.
Yeah.
So that's from potatoes to peppers to whatever.
Ah.
And even if she's eating a totally vegetarian or highly vegetable-based diet,
Yeah.
with no sugar, she can actually gain weight if she eats nightshades because it inflames her body.
See? Fascinating.
So it's knowing your epigenetics can be important from a diet perspective, to know what's making you feel bad, what's making you feel
For
good,
sure.
internally as
Yeah.
well as externally.
Yeah, and if you don't get the testing done, or if you don't go through us, just start food journaling,
Yeah.
and really pay attention to what you eat and how you feel afterwards. It's amazing just how your body's intuition, we can actually know and navigate quite a bit of it ourselves.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people, once they do get the results, they're like, oh yeah, I kind of noticed that. Like I blah, blah, blah. So yeah, just start there. That's a great first thing to try. And then if you're interested in intermittent fasting, let's do it together and then report back on how we all feel about it.
Well, and as it just so happens, today's social content is going to be about intermittent fasting.
Perfect.
We found a great beginner's guide to intermittent fasting from Healthline that we feel really goes through and explains everything. And of course, also always, touch base with your medical practitioner, your doctor, your
Yeah.
nutritionist, a trusted medical professional.
Yeah.
That's always a good idea, especially if you have any health conditions. But really, it's just up to you, knowing your body and trying different things and seeing how they make you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
I agree.
Love it. Well, thank you guys. Any last parting words?
No, just do what feels good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it takes time, give yourself some grace and patience. I think everyone's relationship with food is a slow process that we deal with our whole life. And so find what works for you. Try not to repeat bad mistakes, but we all slip up. We all do things. And when it happens, give yourself grace and move forward, because tomorrow's another day.
Sounds like you're giving relationship advice.
Did it? I have a relationship with food. Okay.
I was going to say.
I sure do. But yeah, there's good days and bad days. And I always like to say that, because we can sit here and preach all day, but I make mistakes myself. So, all right, everybody. I really, really appreciate it.
And don't forget to check us out.
Yes, please reach out to us on all of the social media channels at Usurance, except for Twitter, which is Hello Usurance. And then come chat with us at usurance.com. Send us an email. We'd love to work with you. We'd love to give you more information about some of this testing that we're talking about, and get your feedback on what we're developing and working on in our next round. Because we are still in beta here, and we're trying to get better and better all the time. So any feedback that you have for us, if you've tried this, we would love to hear about it. So thank you all. Have a great weekend. Oh, it's not a weekend.
It's
it's
your
my
weekend.
weekend. I'm sorry, peeps. I don't work tomorrow. All right. I will see you next week. Hannah will see you tomorrow.